Well, and welcome to the Gmodism Empire. We're here for some testing in From the Depth. This is some empirical testing, because I've made some interesting designs before, which I was pretty happy about. But I kind of realized this thing has to be able to be refined, and that's what we're doing in this episode. I'm going to show you how to make the most crazy, super good vertical launch anti-missile and anti-CRAM missile system, to be honest. The main objective today is to make the system be able to shoot at incoming CRAM shells and hit every time. This is the system I'm basing it off. We're going to build our tests from this thing. A lot of people use small missiles to target CRAMs because it's a little bit easier to make them hit. But for lag reasons, it's better with medium. And each medium missile does 4,000 damage to the 2,000mm CRAMs. So yeah, that's pretty nice, since the small missiles only do, what is it, 500 damage, and there are 4 of them per launcher, which means that it's 2,000. So all in all, what you pay for, you get around half the damage with small missiles. So small missiles is only worth it if they hit twice as often as the medium missiles. And that might be the case. We're gonna do tests with that, but this is the system. It worked pretty well. I tuned it so long before to make it work. It has APN guidance 5, turning thrusters here. A variable thruster, has a start delay of 0.4 seconds. This was vital to make it work, so that's a little bit interesting. Now, just to test this thing, we will spawn in a crossbones. And we're gonna pause the game actually, and this crossbones AA gun we're gonna turn off. Are we in God mode? Yes, we are. Gonna turn on some slower speeds and enjoy the battle. So this is the basis of our tests here. By the way, the main rule set is altitude span. And yeah, you can see it here. We have some pretty standard rules. We're probably gonna use that. These are launched in the air, and they are then getting fired up and accelerating towards the CRAM shells coming in here. And here you can see they do a pretty good job at removing these CRAMs before they hit, but I think they're a little bit slow. So that's the issue I have with them. They do have a pretty good range. They can reach pretty far, so they're good against missiles and CRAMs. I mean, they work. It's not bad, but I want them to be more adapted against really fast missiles coming at us, like kinetic missiles and CRAM shells. Because CRAM shells, man, I wanna make this VLM anti-munition missile system be so good that we can make CRAMs obsolete. No, that's not gonna happen, but we can try, right? Alright, so I have been building some, and this is our little lineup here, right? We have some different tests going on here. I just colored them for convenience and did a couple of tests basically. So I also spawned some small missiles for comparison. I already removed this one here, but let's check this out. So this one is the one you've seen before, so I can compare it with. And this one I colored blue here. It uses a short range thruster instead to get a little bit quicker towards the target. We're gonna try that out. And then we have this one with a variable thruster, but it has max speed. That's what we're trying. This one is a previous one I have with turning thrusters, working pretty well. However, this is a test with a short range thruster. So we're gonna test this again against the crossbones. All right, here we're rolling. We added a slow speed so we can react what's happening here. We want to do some real proper empirical testing. We're going to compare all the different stats we can imagine and see how we can make it as good as possible. The premises is, though, it's going to be a vertical launch system. Oh god, I think I accidentally controlled these. That's bad. Right. So we can see the short-range thrusters are going so much higher up. And that is because the short-range thrusters, they make the missile have a launch speed that's so much quicker than what it otherwise would be, without any type of ejectors too. It doesn't matter, it's really weird. So when I made some, we did some empirical testings with kinetic missiles, right? And you might have seen that, and there you could see we chose, we went for short-range thrusters without any fuel, just to get that extra, I think at 100 meters per second, extra launch speed. Alright, so here you can see what's happening. We're going up here, pretty steep angle, diving down towards those CRAMs, changing directions. Go, yes, there we have something. So if you just check some stats here, you can see that the launch speed is 40 meters per second here, and with the short-range thruster it's 100. Here we have 20 meters per second launch speed, with the short-range thruster we have 100. So yeah, that's the difference. So much higher arc. And basically, we just let this test run for a while. And you can see shots hit fired, 35% of them hit the CRAM shells, 19% of the short-range thruster runs hit the shell here, 51% of the faster ones hit the shell here. So that's pretty amazing. 50%, 14%, oh damn. So we're just keeping track here. 44%. Yeah, and you have to wait for them to hit. So the battle basically needs to run for a while, and then you can collect the data. Well, so what we checked here, from 124 missiles fired, it's 30% here, 16% there, 51% of these ones, 43% of these, and 50%. So the short-range thrusters, this one, that is, and this one, they are short-range thrusters. They perform worse, it seems like. Now this is pretty close. We have some things we're gonna test out, but this is a bit better, it is. And this one is definitely better of them here. So the quicker one definitely works wonders. Yeah, and then we also have this thing, guidance activation delay. On the original system, it's set to 0.1 to not get like bad targets, but we want to react as quick as possible. So yeah, I set that to 0, and that seems to be a big improvement too. Well, I'm gonna test some new things out, and I'll be back with a new platform. So now the lag is starting to get here a little bit, right? This little platform, I've set out two different main strategies that I want to test to each other. We have some different speeds on the missiles. Since from our previous test I found out that the quicker missiles with a regular thruster performed quite a bit better, right? So I set up this side of the board, they're quick. All of these missiles are set up to be quick. And I had a real hard time making the small missiles work. And then I realized that there is actually something called small rail gantry instead of the small launcher. And the rail gantry, it installs a little bit differently. It has less health and is not cheaper, so it's a bad deal. But the thing with this is that the launch speed is so much slower. It's only 40 meters per second, which helps a lot. When we had a regular like launcher, we get the like built-in, what are they called? Like these air pressure ejector add-ons, you know, the pneumatic ejectors, and they kind of make it go up in the air because they're built into this small launcher, and that makes the arc that they're going so much bigger. And it seems that it hurts reaction time quite a bit, because they always get behind when hitting those CRAMs. So it's really annoying. It didn't quite work out. So then when I use the small rail launcher, we have so much better hit rates. Anyways, we have some different stats that's pretty interesting, because I found that this system here, where we have a variable thruster that's a little bit slower, but we have a start delay that's a bit more. And then we have a gain tuned down a little bit. We can make it perform much better. Actually, together with the fast one, these tend to have a better hit rate even. So that's a little bit weird there. I did tune the start delay to be 0.8 seconds for both. On the old system, it's 0.4, but it turns out that they quite don't have time to turn towards the target before they're thrusting away. So that was a little bit improvement too. Now, we are trying the same thing for these ones. They are a little bit slower. They have a start delay of, well, 0.3 seconds. These ones can go in the air in 3.7 seconds. And these ones here, they're set to max speed basically, and they can only go in the air in 2 seconds. So yeah, it doesn't quite work out. And I tried it with the short-range thrusters for these ones too, but they still get a speed boost from the short-range thruster, even if they're on a small rail launcher. It doesn't matter where you put them, it's always going to be boosted there. So anyways, if we compare this fast system and this slow system, we have some different settings here. Here we have slow one, APN 2.5. Here we have APN 1. And here we have prediction guidance. I heard someone say the prediction guidance can be a lot better for some interceptors. I tried to use them before, but I didn't quite crack the code, so I thought that I'm gonna test them again here. These ones here are, as we found before, APN 5 to be best, also the original setting. Here we're trying APN 2.5 because it worked pretty well for this system. And here we're trying the prediction guidance. This is also prediction guidance, APN 2.5 and APN 1. In my test so far, it seems that APN 5 for small missiles, that gain is just too hard. And that's of course APN guidance gain. And when the gain is up to 5, they're just snaking so much and just not hitting the target. So it seems that keeping a lower gain for smaller missiles makes more sense, while keeping a higher gain for these medium ones works better. Yeah, and same here, prediction guidance, APN 1, APN 2.5 gain there. So what are the stats? If we begin with the slow medium missiles, this one with the APN, with no APN, with prediction guidance, has an average hit rate of 22%. Which is not great. With the slow one with the APN set to 1, we have a hit rate of 23% too. Now I do feel like we need some more enemies here, because it's like we're just saturating the air with too many interceptors, so we don't quite get the values. Okay, now we have 3 crossbones in the horizon here, just throwing CRAMs at us. We're gonna see how this affects the stats. This particular test I actually already done, so I do know the results from these ones, which was what I was a little bit surprised by, the 22% before. But never mind. By the way, when we're doing this, what we can do to reset the time or the hit rate is to click on take out of play here and click into play, be super fast and make this thing God mode, otherwise we'll die. We didn't die, good. So then we're counting from 0 again. Oh my god. Did you have a collision? That's not good. I want you to be whole, please. Alright. By the way, we're going to do an instant tutorial on optimal VLM anti-missile missiles when we have found the perfect combination. However, in that video, I think we only will have time to go through how to do it. I can't tell you exactly why I've chosen every single setting. So that's basically what this video is about. This little empirical testing video is a weird kind of prequel from another series, yeah, to the instant tutorial that's coming. Yeah, where I'm going to present those results. But you'll find out a lot of that information in this video too. So yeah, buckle up. I don't know what you think, but so far they're doing a pretty good job. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the big systems. They cost 22k each, so that is, what is it? 100 and... yeah, that's 120,000, right? Of VLM. So that's a pretty hefty cost, but it's also 3 crossbones. That's like a crossbone is like... how expensive is a crossbones? Is it like 500,000? It is. So it's a 1.5 million ship worth of CRAMs, basically. Well, I think we have enough stats to check the data now. So here we have APN 1. We have a hit rate of 70%. So now you see what we're talking here. By tuning these things, having anti-missile missiles hit about 70% of the time is some pretty good stats. And I want to put that as high as possible with this tuning, but 70% is a huge improvement from how many anti-missile missiles or anti-CRAM missiles are working out. So that's APN 1. If we have APN 2.5, we have a hit rate of 45% about, so not at all as good as APN 1. With the prediction guidance, we have a hit rate of 20%. Very much not impressed. For the medium missiles, we have a hit rate here for the APN 5, as we had before, of 56%, which I think is pretty decent. However, we have 60% here with the one that has an APN on 2.5. So it seems that APN 5 is a little bit too high when we're using turning thrusters, because these turning thrusters are so fast that we can't let it use up too much fuel in the beginning, and we're accidentally doing that by having the APN very high. I don't know why APN works with turning thrusters, because APN is about turning fins mostly, but augmented proportional navigation something, I don't know. I don't remember the acronym, but it's developed for fins, but it seems to it's working fine with turning thrusters too, obviously. If that has any real-life counterpart, I cannot say if that's the case, but in From the Depth, APN works for fins and turning thrusters. Anyways, with this one we have a 60% hit rate when we tune down the APN a little bit, and with prediction guidance, just as the other system. I mean, 30%, it's not super bad, but it's not at all close to what we're used to. So if we're just going to wait for them to reload a little bit here, gonna have M a little lower. We're gonna lock on to the prediction guidance here, and you're gonna see how they're traveling in the air. So you can see they're going pretty straight here. Now I don't know what we're trying to target, so this was a little bit of a bad thing to tune into, I believe. Well, we have more CRAM shells coming in here, and with the slower system, of course. This is the APN 2.5, yeah. 55%, 54% with APN 1, and prediction guidance we have 42%. So prediction guidance seems to be working much better for slower missiles though. APN 2.5, 1. This one is now at 25%. Prediction guidance not working very well there. For this one is 60%, that's pretty good. Oh, so APN 1 is definitely, seems to be best across the board. Anyways, since this prediction guidance is best, we're going to follow these ones. Oh, they changed their mind. You can see them coming in here. It's easy to mix them up, but in conclusion, the prediction guidance moves a little bit too sluggishly to hit the mark. It kind of just does two big snake shapes for them to hit. With the APN, we can fine-tune that snaky curve until it's pretty smooth. So yeah, that's like the main takeaway. Now, I kind of realized that we're having slow missiles and we're having fast missiles. And the fast missiles are gonna they're gonna reach the target quicker, so they're gonna get more points. So having slow missiles and fast missiles at the same time, we can't really compare which one is best. We'll need to compare them like one by one in some sense. However, we did some more testing here, and I found out that when we have staggered fire, we can't really say how they will behave because it matters too much with the different speed and acceleration. We get different spreads. So I was able to improve the hit rate for both the fast and the slow missiles by turning on staggered fire. So it's obvious that we'll have to fine-tune the fast missiles by themselves and the slow missiles by themselves to be able to find which missile, to be able to find the best slow missile and the best fast missile. Because so far it seems that the fast missiles and the slow missiles require different APN tunings. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna develop the fast missiles first, and then we're gonna develop the slow missiles, and then we're gonna find the ultimate combinations. After the ultimate combinations are found, we will be able to compare the fast versus the slow one. So, we're gonna begin with the fast ones. I just want to show you here what the stats are now. We removed the prediction guidance and selected the different range of APN tests. So we have 63%, 40% and 83% for APN 1. 83% is such amazing stats, and here we have 80%, here we have 40%. So it really seems that APN 1 for the fast missiles is pretty awesome. Here on the slower missiles, we have a hit rate of 58% for APN 1 and 60% for APN 2.5. So it seems we can have a higher APN gain for the slower missiles here. Anyways, here we have 39%, and this is APN 2.5. 40% on APN 1, so that's nice, but 30%, 34% on APN 5. So it seems to work a little bit better with high APNs on slower missiles, but again, we'll need to compare them one by one. First, we're gonna do the fine-tuning of the APN setting for the fast missiles. So here is the lineup. This particular one, I don't care about the signs anymore, they're not updated. Here we have, I'm just gonna show you, we have a variable thruster, its max speed start delay still 0.8. We have just thrust before locking, no warhead arming or guidance activation delay. We have a turning thruster that can use as much fuel as it wants. We have an APN guidance that's set to gain 0.3, right? Max thrust before locking. The default guidance, I tested out some different settings here, but when this kicks in, it doesn't matter anyways because we failed, because the fuel, so it doesn't really matter. I didn't see any difference using that, and since they are guided towards the incoming targets, it shouldn't matter anyways, right? It doesn't matter in this case. I tested it just to be sure. So, we are going to, we have coordinate between different interceptors to avoid overkill and stuff like that. And this APN is set to 0.3. This APN we're setting to 0.1. It seems we can have really low APN settings here. This one we're setting to 0.5 just to check out what range works best. It seems that below 1 might give the best results. On the smaller systems, I don't care about the signs. we have set up just like this as before. And we have a APN guidance set to 0.1, which is the lowest stat. So they're really sensitive, so we can have them pretty low, and 0.3 here. Then we kind of avoid a lot of snaking here. So you can see when they're coming in here, they're launched all at once. They're doing a pretty good job. Now, sometimes they're a bit scattered. And it depends a little bit on timing, on what stats they're building up to. We're gonna fix some rules, of course, later. Here you can see we have the full volley with the different APNs here. So this is good stuff, because then we can carefully compare. You can see here how they're moving in the air with the different APN settings, trying to keep the different clouds from each other. You can see some of them react quicker, but the lower APN values has, of course, a smoother flight, but still usually hits the mark. So in conclusion here, with these different settings, this one has a hit rate of 68% with APN guidance to 0.3. So it's not quite as good as it was before. This one is a 68.2 with APN to 0.1 here. As for this system here with a 0.3, we got a hit rate of 73%, which is an improvement, but nothing to 75%. And that's set to even lower APN gain. This one is set to half a point on the APN gain, and we get a hit rate of 76%. So it seems that a little bit of a higher APN gain seems to be working better. Question is it going to be below 1, or and exactly where are we going to land? So I realized that some of these shots are kind of getting in some weird spaces. So I checked out what was happening, and it turns out that they can't reach very far. So we set up the main rule here. We remove the target the clusters here, because we really want to target doom CRAMs more. So we're just gonna opt for diameter. And we need to ignore range outside 1,500 meters. Because if you check this missile here, variable thruster, it has a speed of 367 times about 4 seconds. That's 1,468, I can see in my calculator here. So that means that they can't reach more than 1,500 meter, and that is if they didn't even use their thrusters to turn, which they of course did. So setting up the rule of max 1,500 meters is a little bit much actually, but we want them to start shooting before they're, like, you know, yeah. We want to be able to react, because the incoming shell is of course also going at about 300 meters per second. So the CRAM shell that's coming in, we're gonna meet it in the middle here. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. I guess the max would be probably 3,000-ish, but at that point I think we might waste a lot of these, because these anti-missile missiles will work at the medium range, the LAMs will work at the short range, and the kinetic sieves cannons will start softening them up on a longer range, I believe. Yeah, but actually considering this speed here of the enemy missile or enemy projectile, we might increase it a little bit. The thing is, though, when we have our crossbones here, they are about at the range of 1,200 meters, so I can't really predict how they would behave on an even further range. Since if they're working on this range, I hope they're gonna work fine. If we set them up on a long range, we might have used up too much materials from the turning thrusters, and that might make them start missing a lot of targets too. So yeah, changing my mind again, we're gonna keep the 1,500 meters. I think that's just about right, considering we're testing this at this range anyways. Right, so now we have some different stats here, of course. We're working with APN since prediction guidance doesn't work. we're testing gain 1 to gain 0.7 to gain 0.4. Here we're testing gain 0.1 with gain 0.3. So let's turn on the crossbones there, and we added a little stagger on fire. But you can see they're working beautiful right now. I'm pretty happy with them as of now. We're gonna see how they will behave, of course. See if the crossbones will fire some shot at us. We have 2 of them, and maybe we'll need to something like that. And I heard cram fire. Good. Gonna see what's happening here. So we can measure the different movement patterns. We have a slight stagger, which we're gonna test a little bit later, but we're hoping they will bump into each other less, and thinking that they might bump into each other and kind of, I don't know, if they bump into each other and do some weird things, like getting off the trajectory and using more turning thrusters and creating more lag and whatnot. Yeah, well, you can see that it's pretty close, but the stats are still a little bit different. That's why we're doing this fine-tuning. On this one, we have a hit rate of 77%. Here we have on 80%. This one is lower though. We really want to find this. You can imagine that this fine-tuning, I've been doing it for most of today when I'm recording this. So that's what I've been doing today. Well, this game is so nerdy, you can really get into some stats there. It's crazy. 55%, 52%. This one right now is in the lead, and here we have at a gain of 0.7. However, I have actually performed some more quantifiable, longer offline tests, which I actually have a little paper here with. It's basically a spreadsheet, you know, because that's what you want to do on your free time, right? Look through spreadsheets and find the ultimate gain for APN settings to be able to get your anti-missile missile to hit cram shells. That's exactly what you want to do on your free time. So yeah, fun times. This one is 75 versus 70. Yeah, okay. And a little bit of an annoying thing here is that since I already have some results, it's weird when I find new results that are not in line with my previously found results. Anyways, I have a new iteration of this platform, which I'm going to show you right now. So now I'm just gonna hope that the results, you know, still stand true. But this is the test where I left it running for, I think it was running in the background for an hour or something, and then I collected the materials. Of course, those data isn't unfortunately not saved. Yeah, so now we see new data. Anyways, we have tested APN 0.98 versus APN 0.8 versus APN guidance gain 0.75 versus APN guidance 0.7, because we tested the lower values before, like 0.6, 0.65, 0.5, yeah. For this one, we have APN 1, we moved up there, APN 0.75 and APN 0.7. So we're gonna compare those results right there. Otherwise, they are different, but they have different results. It's gonna be fun to see which results there are. This 98 has a hit rate of 77 right now. So much explosions. Anyways, this one has a hit rate of 92%, and its APN guidance it's at 0.8. That's amazing, 92% hit rate. It's moving up and down here. 85% hit rate we find on our 0.75, and an 80% hit rate we find of our APN 0.7. So yeah, it's moving up and down a little bit, and we'll see some stabilization, but you can see, of course it's a ballpark, none of these values are wrong, they obviously all have good results. On this one, APN 0.7 has a 60% hit rate, APN guidance gain on 0.75 has a 60% hit rate. Now this one bumped up to 69, the funny number, as BorderBuys say. The APN guidance gain set to 1 has a hit rate of 72%. And I will now say the results for the fast missiles that I found in my previous tests. And that is actually that the fast missiles, medium missiles, has the best hit rate. That is conclusive with this result when the APN guidance is at 1. Not 1.11, I tried at 2, it's gonna be 1. Not 0.9, it's gonna be 1. However, for the fast missiles, or the small missiles, I mean, the small fast missiles, the gain for the APN was actually found to work best, not at 0.8 as we see here, but actually down here at 0.7. Now it moves up and down all the time, of course, so if you don't get conclusive results, you'll have to leave it and just make it sit for a while and then collect the results. And it can, of course, depend a little bit on how many targets are popping in and stuff like that. But that's the results from the APN though. My next little step that I also already did offline, but that was pretty important to test too, because I found this setting changes how anti-missile missiles work a lot. We can see if we can see the difference for them. If we're gonna jump with these ones, so the left and right is the same, they have the same APN gain. And you can see they have a little bit of a different targeting behavior. I don't think that was visible, but anyways, the difference is that the missile interceptor on this side is set to coordinate between interceptors to avoid overkill and bad targets, as well as here. And on this side, they're set to prefer Civ's controllers target at launch time, not recommended. So, what did we find from this then? Well, first, the hit rate, you can see the hit rate here is 100%, isn't that insane? But yeah, after some time, it came out that actually coordinate between different interceptors works a tiny little bit better over time. But leaving it there for half an hour or how long I made it have, it was just only like 1% of a difference. So it doesn't matter that much. It's not an important setting. But since we had a slightly better option with choosing for them to coordinate, I guess we're gonna stick with that. Yeah. Our next little test, which is already conducted, but pretty interesting anyways, is stagger or no stagger. So here we can see we have a very, very small stagger on this side here, which is barely noticeable when they run into us like that. So we're gonna have a cool cinematic mood here. You can see they are staggering there, and this one in the front, they're getting into a cloud there. We're gonna follow this cloud. We're gonna see some action. Look at that cloud. Bam! Just killing that CRAM shot. And these are spread out, so of course they do some damage. But man, the statistical significance ended up at around 10% difference. So that's a substantial difference. Unfortunately, for our lagginess, not having stagger works better. So for this type of VLM system, we can't have a stagger. It affects the results negatively, even though shooting all these missiles at like the same second having them all look for a target in the air at the same second and navigate and do like that, I mean, it creates a little lag bit dependent on how many you launch at a time. But having that stagger really just decreases the efficiency of that missile quite a bit. But it might be different for the slow missiles when we have missiles coming in from behind. But honestly, I think if we have different speeds, we're just probably better set up using different volleys. Took some time for the results to balance out, of course, but in general, it seems to be better to not stagger them. Yeah. Now we need to start doing the APN tests for the slower missiles. So how does APN affect well, the missile speed? Which is it's a little bit. It does affect it a little bit. You can see the different movement patterns we have here. This APN is set to 0.3. This one to 1. This one to 5. Comparison. This one is set to 1. And this one is set to 0.7. So, here we have our slower missiles, where we're comparing the APN. And the results of this is what the APN gain should be for these types of missiles. We're gonna see if it concludes to my previous results. Actually, my results for the slow missiles with the even longer test was that both small and medium interceptors should have an APN gain of 1, exactly 1. We're gonna see if this remains true here. This has APN guidance 0.3. We got a hit rate of 68%. And you can see I let it run for a while here, so this is of 420 missiles. This one's APN guidance is 1. We have a hit rate of 82%. Isn't that pretty amazing? I'm pretty happy with those results at least. And on this one we have an APN guidance of 5 for comparison, and we have a hit rate of around 60%. So yeah, we really need to find that Goldilocks zone. Here, we have APN guidance 1 with a hit rate of 83%. On this ones, we have an APN guidance of 0.7, the best for the faster missiles. And here we have a hit rate of 82%. So actually, in this test, the APN 0.7 works a little bit better for the slower missiles, but in the previous test, the 0.7 was worse than the 1. So I'm still gonna go with the results from the longer test. I guess it depends on how many targets we have and luck and whatnot and timing, and you never know. Here we already have the next test ready. Results are already done. And yeah, I just spawned an iteration of the platform while doing the offlines test. As said, I've been doing this basically all day. It's fun though. And we got... I don't think I have to explain that to you, honestly. You wouldn't watch that video if you also didn't think so. It's just, you know, people that are not interested in From the Depth. You know... I'd imagine this would be hard to explain to them why this is fun. I don't know. Any case, we are testing staggered fire and like full auto-fire, not auto-fire. Firing them all simultaneously versus staggered fire. And the results here are with the non-stagger, with firing all at once. We have a 92% hit rate for this, which is absolutely insane. And this we have a 68%, 69% hit rate. Here we have a hit rate of 72%. And this is, of course, with the staggered fire. And when we're firing all at once, we got a 92% hit rate. So, no, for the slower missiles, we can absolutely not have staggered fire. I tested different values, and even if you tweak it to 0.05, change that 5 to a 1, it's not gonna be good. No. Even having it like this makes the result worse than just not having that staggered fire. So now we know that. Now we have a little bit of a harder nut to crack that we should probably have done previously. We are also back into real time. This is the last pre-saved iteration of anything that's available that I've been collecting under the day. So we're back to real time now. The last few platforms been pre-saved there. So anyways, here we have different speeds. What is the optimal speed for the slower variant of these missiles? So we know the gain, we know of the APN, we know the rest of the settings, the timings and everything like that. However, what we do not know is what speed should they be in. The slower they are, like this is the slowest one, it has a speed of 200 meters per second, really slow. That means that it has a pretty high turn rate. The turn rate is 176.8 degrees per second. Is that radians per second or is it degrees per second? I don't know. But that's the turn rate. And if we look at the fastest variant here, we have a turn rate of 100 degrees per second, you know? And if we have a faster missile, you can see the thrust duration of this is 4.8 seconds total. While in this slow one, the thrust duration could be 39 seconds. Now that's not going to happen because this missile only lives for 20 seconds, but what is going to happen is that the turning thrusters will be able to turn this thing all it wants and potentially increase the range of this thing quite a bit. And the same thing with these variants. We have a 224 meters per second, 310, 360 and 365, with 365 only giving us 208 seconds of forward thrust. Now, I do realize it might be a tiny little bit difficult to test this out, since the faster missiles should have an advantage. You can see the clouds popping in here, of getting so much further. Also getting much smoother curves. We can see with the slower speeds, we might need to tweak that APN guidance as well. And we can see the Crossbones AA systems are trying to shoot down our interceptors here, thus protecting the Crossbones CRAMs. I don't think that your own anti-munition warheads will actually deal damage to your own shells, which is absolutely super weird, but I think that's how it works. Here we can see the slowest one going in there. So the slow one, even though they're last to the party, that's very obvious. But they can really clean up everything coming in here. For the moment, I have been thinking a little bit on the best configuration and setup, and I think that having slow missiles and fast missiles is probably the best idea, because then we can artificially have different volleys, basically. So the fast variant, we have already developed the best variant, and then we're gonna find out which is the best of the slow variants in terms of hit rate. And if we combine these two, we should get a fast missile variant coming in there and shooting at the CRAMs, and the slower ones will be able to clean up whatever is behind. That is my thought, at least, because then it could really reach much further, but still be very accurate thanks to the turning thrusters. So we can see here again, these volleys are hitting it, and the annoying thing is that if this, here we can definitely see that the slowest one of these, they won't be able to reach the CRAMs in time because the acceleration is too low. So actually, I can see that already, that these two, they're too slow. They didn't reach the target in time. While they don't have to be first at the ball, they need to be able to even hit at all. So I saw that this one seems to be a little bit slow as well. See if we can... I don't know if these are perhaps trying to aim at something too close. Yeah, they changed their mind there. Okay, never mind. Gonna see when they pop in next time what results we'll have. Alright. Here we have these ones. You can see while they are... oh darn. Well, they're even... Yeah, it doesn't work. The slowest ones are red carded. Now we're gonna check out this system. I wonder if this one is too slow as well. Oh, now we got hit by some explosions, so they flew all over the place. 6 seconds here. And we'll see what's gonna happen there. They're ready. CRAMs are coming in. We're launching. Alright. Okay, look at that. They might actually be able to do enough damage. They might be able to reach the target. They're in the slowest ballpark for sure, but they're not disqualified per default, per se, you know. These ones, they just don't work very well, so we can disqualify them. But I want to check the hit rates here. So, we're gonna turn off our friends here for a little while and see what's popping. So, we're beginning with the small ones. Hit rate of 40%, terrible. 50%, very much better than a lot of my previous designs, but compared to 73% and 82%, yeah, that's not much to come with, right? This one is at 46%, 49%, 62%, and 76%. So even in this test, it seems that the quicker one is honestly a little bit better. But, of course, they are getting to the target first, so they also have some kind of a unfair advantage. Yeah, I think the two ones in the back here, we're gonna delete them. And there we go. Delete. So, here we have our contestants, basically. Question is, if we check the stats here, we can with logic probably crack the code a little bit, assuming we have a quicker one. 7 seconds and 4.8 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's gonna be 2 seconds, and here we have 3 seconds. Oh, that's not a big of a difference. That's kind of surprises me a little bit, because we still have a... Yeah, okay, interesting. 65 and this is 60, okay. Turning on our friends here a little bit. And see what is what's happening then. I do suspect that, man, I feel this should be fast, but I don't think it needs to be quite as fast. If you can make it reach 4 seconds, I think that would be great. And this one as well. It is of course worse, but it now can thrust for 7.8 seconds. I feel it doesn't need to be able to thrust that long. If we move that to 7 seconds perhaps, that could be a nice midpoint or something like that. When this one is pretty darn quick, but not as quick as the other one. 4.8 seconds, and this one is 2.8 seconds. I kind of feel like this should be able to run out of fuel before hitting anything if we have the super quick missiles in front of them. So anyways, what's the stats right now? We have 55% on the little slower ones and 69% on the little faster ones. So that's of course very tempting to go with the faster ones, but I'm not sure that's quite the right option. We'll need to spawn the best results from the fast missiles so that we can be able to piece together the best combination. So I went and fetched the quick system here and placed it right here. We're actually going to save this platform now. This is how my folder looks after working for a while. Look at that. You can see some iterations. Alright. Oh no. I'm from the depth. I can't move around. This is not good. Yeah, so my controls stopped working, so I'll need to restart the game now. Or actually, it was my horrible Corsair keyboard bugging again. And never mind. I think I forgot to mention this, but for the little bit of the slower missiles, I changed the rules, so I made them shoot longer distance since they're able to thrust a lot bit longer. Then I also added the weight to cluster back, so that it kind of goes for clusters of stuff rather. Since they're coming afterwards, it's more likely that something is left in that cluster than a singular shot by itself. I don't know, that was just my thinking behind of that. Right now we're conducting a new test. So I thought for the slowest missile, is it possible that it makes sense to add a stagger for the slower system that comes behind? Will that improve anything? Oh my god, are you colliding? Oh, that was... What were they thinking? Anyways, so this is the slower system in the middle here. This is the fastest one we added back here, and this is the faster of the slow ones. If that makes any sense. Now I wanted to see if adding that stagger would improve the stats of the slowest system. But right now I suppose it will just worsen the stats, because that's what's happened every time so far. Right. 65% hit rate. Right now for the fast missiles, here we have a 79% hit rate. These are of course for you max speed 370, 369. These ones with the stagger, we have a hit rate of 40 versus 60 and 50 versus 70. Yeah, I think we'll just give up on that staggered thing. It's simply not a good idea. Now, what is a little bit interesting though is that right now we have our 3 different volleys having an interesting little spread, so to say. But I suspect that 3 volleys is probably a little bit too much. Now we'll need to turn off this stagger for it to make any sense. Now, what I didn't check, of course, is the tiniest stagger. We might change it to the tiniest stagger. 0.01, here we go. And see how that looks like. But then they're coming in extremely... And for that, I think we'll need to reset this. Whoop. Go. So that we can watch it with new eyes and new stats. So we'll just need to collect data for a while here so we can see what's going on. Honestly, from seeing the shots being shot down there, it seems to be doing a-okay. But yeah, it really seems to be a nice spread of damage, continuously making sure that those cram shells are taken out. Very interesting indeed. Alright, so it's time to check some results here. We can see that this fast one, not changed, 72 hit rate, 71 hit rate for the fastest, medium and small. Here, with the slower, the fastest of the slow one, we have a 54 and a 68% hit rate. With the slow ones, with the stagger on, we have a 51% hit rate, which was actually a bit higher last I checked, and then a 62 here. But consistently, it seems that having the stagger on the small system here doesn't really help the overall hit rate, it rather hurts it. But having the stagger on the slower of the slow systems might actually make it perform better. So removing that doesn't work very well. In any case, if you want to have all my prefabs available for your download, if you would want to just save them and add your free prefabs, it is a perk if you are a commissioned officer in the army of Gmodism. From level of cadet, I think it's $1 a month or something like that, you'll access all those files, and I try to update them-ish every month or when I've added some new important things. Basically when I added new important things, which is usually once a month or every second month, something like that. To test if the slower system actually even has an advantage over the faster system in general. Now, it's theorized that the slower system will have a better hit rate. I've used 4 units and I've checked the spread, and it turns out that the hit rate is between 83 and 87% when we have let it run for about 750 missiles per unit. So I'm going to do the same with the fast missile system and see if the results are the same, or if we need the slower variant, or if we can ditch it altogether. Alright, we have had the fast missiles running for a good while now. Let's see the stats. We have been shooting 1,365 missiles, so this is a little bit more accurate. And the fast missiles, they have a average hit rate or a hit range from 76% to 80%. That is for the lowest and the highest a full 7% less likelihood of hitting compared to the slower variant. This means that it is indeed a good idea to have both the slower variant and the faster variant in our mix. So now we basically know that, at least for the medium system that we tested right now. But that's really interesting to know that the faster ones has a range of 76 to 80. So that is indeed now. No one of them. No, okay, this one is 80. We have to wait for them to hit that also. But that's really interesting to know. Then we know that the slower variant actually, not only theoretically, but also in practicality, provides some better hit stats. So combining both of them should indeed be a good idea, I'd suspect. Now, I don't think we'll we're going to design the final system now, because we need to put together some design pieces as well and make it look nice and all that. And this episode is already long enough. But for the tutorial on how to make this, the instant tutorial that's coming up, you'll be able to see the final product, of course. But what I want to do right now is checking out. You can see here against for example, this is mainly against CRAMs, so we're going to focus on that, but it's going to be, of course, for missiles as well, but we're going to do the calculations based on CRAM. Now, most Doom CRAMs are 4,000 or 2,000 millimeters, right? Now I read from here. You can see the damage to 2 meter CRAMs is 4,000, or up to 4,000. So if we are assuming that the damage, damage is directly proportional to shell diameter. Okay, so if it deals damage to 2,000 millimeter CRAM, it will deal 4K damage, right? So that means that we'll need to calculate a little bit on how a Doom CRAM will behave. Now, if we go to sub-objects and go down to, let's see here, the detonator. Yeah, Mark II S Davidos class is the one that's installed on the Gimle. And I don't need it to shoot the enemy. I'll just want to see here. Oh no. Shell health. Right. The shell health is 200,000 about. So the minimal damage of the system will of course has to be more than 200,000. So we'll need to do some math then. Now we have a hit rate that is from 76 to 87 percentages. So we don't know exactly the exact statistical spread. I don't want to be that exact. So we're gonna assume that the hit rate is about 80% across the board. So if we have 80%, basically we're gonna have 200,000. Right. So basically we have, if the shell health we're targeting is has a health of 200,000, we will have 0.8 times 4,000. So we're gonna divide 200,000 by 0.8 times 4,000. Then we get the value of 62. So to be able to take out a CRAM shell single-handedly from one of the Gimlet's main guns, we actually need 62 of these. In this we have, what is it, 21 I think it is? Yeah, this is 21 missiles. So basically, if we have 3 of these, we should be able to take out a main shot from the Gimlet, which is pretty nice, I think. That system should then cost, it's gonna be the same as the previous system, of course. The previous system this is based off, Ultra 21, has a cost of about 20,000. So we'll be able to deal with one of Gimlet's main CRAMs for about the cost of 60,000, which I think is pretty reasonable. So I don't know if that will really make CRAMs obsolete, but it will sure make it important to have an even higher shell health to be able to evade this. So I've been thinking a little bit of configurations for the medium missiles. Like these missiles are of course small and they're nice and all, but honestly, if we're gonna be completely honest, if people are gonna use small missiles for super big battleships, the amount of missiles in the air is gonna be very much. Like having 60-ish missiles in the air at the same time is already a bit, but it seems to be working a-okay. We're gonna check that out, but basically defending yourself against CRAMs using anti-missile missiles only is of course not a good idea. And not all CRAMs have 200k health. Some have 400k health. That's going to be a problem. But a lot of CRAMs are, you know, 150,000 range. So I guess we're going to aim for something like that. And doing some calculations, 7 times 7 is of course 49, and that times our total damage gives us 156,800. And if we have if we remove the corners for aesthetical reasons, we get 144000. So that is slightly below 150,000. I think we're gonna aim for such a design to deal with incoming CRAMs, and maybe we can have 2 of them even. And that would make us pretty safe against Gimlet's CRAMs. Now, that would only make us safe against actually 1 shell, but assuming they're all not coming at once, and we're having that continuous damage, I'm not sure if it's gonna be enough. But if we have almost 100 medium missiles, having much more than 100 medium missiles, I think it's gonna start a little bit of a lag. I think the Gimlet might have something like 100 missiles or something. I'm not totally sure. We can actually check that. Alright, so here we have her. The Gimlet. Here on the side we have... how many missiles do we have in here? 17 missiles to the side here. Up here we have 10, so 27. Yeah, we don't have that many. 27, oh. So 51 we're up to right now. Do we have any more here? I quite don't remember. So we have 51. Which is a bit, but I guess not a lot. I don't know. Is that a lot? Is 51 a lot? Yeah, well, that's what we have anyways. So having much more than 100 will, of course, pose a problem, I'd suppose. Anyways, I guess we're going to design something like that. And just to get the picture of how much 7 times 7 is, it's about this square. I feel it might be a tad bit large. Too many baskets in the same egg, honestly. That's too much. I think we're gonna base it on a 5x5 system instead. Yeah, let's see in the calculator here. 25 times 4,000 at 8% is 800,000 damage. And then we'll need, of course, several of them. But that's a little bit more modular if we have a 5x5 system. It's like we remove... Hello? Like if we remove 2 from here and 2 from there. Possibly also remove the corners. I don't know. I think we're gonna go with a 5x5 system, and we're gonna remove the corners for aesthetical reasons. And I think that's what we're gonna base the design of. That will give us a approximate total damage, now the last corner I leave, of 67,200. If we have 3 of these, we get to 200k, and that can be dealt. Let's see what the reload, what's the reload time of this? 14 seconds, that's faster than most CRAMs fire. So then we can deal that damage continuously towards the incoming CRAMs. Now Gimel has 4 CRAMs, so it will be a little bit difficult to deal with that with only this, but I think it will be a very valuable component of having. If we're having this, we can basically delete the CRAM shell every time it comes, thanks to these missiles. Alright, so I think this will be it for this empirical testing video. Do you think this was useful or fun? Please leave a like, that really helps me out, and for me to also understand what you actually want to watch. In any case, I'm gonna design some of these systems moving forward, and I'll see these systems in the instant tutorial, which you can watch, of course. Now, please check out the Gmodist channel, where we have some 24/7 from the depth battle entertainment. I added some new fun Gimel battles there. And on the Relaxism channel, and the silver one there, we also have a 24/7 live stream there too now, with rain and white noise. There wasn't very many rain plus white noise up there, so I recorded some rain, added in some white noise, and made that a live stream. So please check that out too if you want to block out some sound or whatever. This is your host Eric of the Gmodism Empire, and we have tested some really nice countermeasures against future battles and future enemies. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time. This is your host saying out.